From the ongoing migrant crisis to reports of crime to even ShotSpotter, apparently still around despite Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson saying he's ending the contract. Reporter William Kelly talked with him earlier today on the streets of Chicago, and he shares with us here with Bishop on Air some of his thoughts and some of his reporting, talking with sources on the ground. So let's get right on into it. Of course, the ongoing migrant situation, it's something that is causing a lot of headache, especially when it comes to those concerned about the humanitarian crisis, which it very much is. But you also have the ongoing situation with the cost of the migrants. But the tension between Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is clear. If you recall, last week, Governor Pritzker announced that the state and Cook County are putting up $250 million for the coming fiscal year to help deal with the migrant crisis. Chicago is not part of that. And then you had Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson come out and say, hey, we're part of this. We're helping, manage this, quote, mission. But there was clearly some difference of opinion being seen as people read between the lines between Governor Pritzker and Mayor Johnson. And William Kelly elucidating that a bit when I chatted with him earlier this morning.
Well, God bless you, Greg. That is correct. We have a very unexpected twist in this migrant crisis. Apocalypse is what I'm hearing from the citizens of Chicago. And that is that it has brought tension between the Democrat governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, and the Democrat mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. And it seems to be focusing, it's being reported that it's an issue of funding. Now, I think, from what I'm hearing from my sources in City Hall, it's more an issue of Mayor Johnson feeling disrespected by the governor, Pritzker. This is, Pritzker's obviously very, very nervous about this upcoming DNC, the Democrat National Convention in Chicago this summer, and he's very worried about the way Mayor Johnson seems to be, losing respect of his colleagues. So this is more. It's not a question of funding, as is being reported. The fact is that both of these Democrat elected officials are pro-migrant, pro-sanctuary city, pro-sanctuary state for that matter, and pro-funding. It's just a question of who's going to, as a lot of times politics in Illinois goes off the rails, it's a question of who is in charge.
So last week we heard Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson say that there's no beef between Pritzker and Johnson, and I think the quote was somewhere along the lines of, nobody in the states or in the city can question Mayor Johnson's dedication to the mission, he says. And that mission, of course, is getting migrants set up in shelters and food and education and wraparound services and jobs and such. But who's in control of this mission? Because recall that Johnson even said, "Hey, Governor, you can put shelters outside of Chicago," and urging them to do that, while you've got municipalities across the state from the suburbs down to southern Illinois looking to somehow prohibit buses of migrants being dropped off in their communities. So William Kelly talking a bit about that question of who really controls this mission, but who's ultimately being impacted by this mission.
Right, and we've seen this before. We've seen this between Democrat speakers and Democrat governors and just ask Blagojevich, right? It's the people of Chicago that are also very upset about the funding of the migrant issue, because they feel that these millions, if not billions of dollars should be spent on them. That, for too long, they were told that there is no money to address their neighborhood crisis, their violent crime crisis. And then they wake up one morning to find out that there appears to be unlimited money being spent on migrants.
So the migrant issue, we're going to hear even more about when Governor J.B. Pritzker delivers his budget address on Wednesday, because, again, he announced last week that they're going to be spending $180+ million from the state for the coming fiscal year. That's on top of the more than $500 million that Illinois taxpayers from the state and the city have already had to pay for this, let alone the $500 million+ dollars, if not more, in subsidized taxpayer cost health care for non-citizen adults in the state of Illinois. So clearly there's a lot of financial constraints that we're going to hear about this week. But the migrant situation aside, you've got continued headlines of robbery sprees, shootings, stabbings in Chicago. William Kelly talking about, the question of where this is all coming from.
Well, it is the domestic crime and the imported crime. What can you say? How else can you put it? We have already an out of control violent crime crisis in the city of Chicago, and we see it every day. Horrific scenes, videos. A lot of it is caught on video, crystal clear, because it's broad daylight, where car loads of robbers jump out fully masked in all black, head to toe. I mean, that should be a clue right there. If you see people running up and down the street in full mask, wearing black from head to toe, right? And they jump out of cars and they beat their victims. And in one case yesterday, it was an elderly Polish lady walking down the street, had her purse stolen, her phone, all of her credit cards, obviously, and everything that was in her purse. I tell people don't go outside with anything that you don't need to carry, especially things of sentimental value. A lot of women carry things in their purse, photos of children, grandchildren, and they'll never get those things back. So I mean, it's it really is an horrific situation already in Chicago, and then add to that the migrant crime. We were told that these were poor migrants who were just looking for a better life, and what we're discovering is that they are organized gangs of that are adding to the theft and robbery and violent crime population in the city of Chicago. So this is, and it's not even summer yet, Greg. That's the thing that scares me as a lifelong Chicagoan. It's the summer months where you normally see the swarms of robbers, the shutting down streets, jumping on top of top of cars, etc. But we're already getting that vibe, and it's not even it's not even March, Greg.
And also, William, talking about the ongoing questions of ShotSpotter, which Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson announced last week is going to be ended. But what happens moving forward, especially with the warmer months? Looks like we're going to have this in place until probably about, September 20th or so? What's the latest there?
Well, once again, Greg, and this is the kind of the nuance that I'm hearing as I interview just not only residents but people inside City Hall, that it's not only is it a head scratcher that the mayor of the city of Chicago would actually go against his own appointed police chief on an issue as important as ShotSpotter technology, but that he did it in such an awkward way, telling the company that he no longer wanted their service, but he wanted it to be extended through the summer. And of course, the ShotSpotter company said, "Sorry, but we don't do a la carte here. Okay, you either re-up the contract or we cancel it." And then so that embarrassed the mayor, and then he had to somehow reach an agreement that we still don't know exactly what the details of this agreement are, that allowed the technology to still be utilized through the summer months, which are sadly, the murder months in Chicago. There's winter and then crime season apparently in Chicago, and so we do have the ShotSpotter technology, but once again, it was just handled in such a embarrassingly incompetent manner that it just further eroded the confidence that the people of Chicago have in their new mayor, Johnson.
And William also providing some final words until we talk to him next week.
Well, just, God bless you, and thank you, Greg, for helping us to spread the word on this. A lot of people in the state of Illinois are not aware, I don't think, fully aware of how dangerous things have become in Chicago. I feel a little like the guy who knows that there's that the levee's going to break, and I have no way of getting the information to the people who are actually in the valley, and so this is why I appreciate you so much. It's critical that the people of Illinois know that what's happening in Chicago is going to impact them in ways that I don't think they're being fully prepared for.
So again, thanks to William Kelly for joining us every week to kind of break down some of the things happening in Chicago. I think it's rather fascinating just to hear somebody who's a lifelong Chicagoan's perspective on how they're being impacted in the city, but also how it impacts the rest of the state of Illinois. All right, appreciate that. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and follow along with Bishop on Air here each and every weekday morning, live across the internet. All right. Appreciate you guys.